Darius,
Yes,
I'm
sir.
not here with it.
Right here. I'm right here. Don't worry yourself, you know.
Welcome back to Halftime TV. Norando Brown here with my co-host Darius Burris. This week we have a pack-jammed fixture of topics to discuss. The Barcelona situation with Eric Abidal and Lionel Messi. We'll also be touching on the English Premier League and its competitiveness this time around. We'll start off, however, by thanking our subscribers for the last video. Thanks for the likes, the share, the support, as we continue to bring you the most riveting topics anywhere in the region, across all sports as well. Darius.
Yes, we'll start it off with the Premier League. Now, as many of you know, and many of you all have observed, Liverpool is at the top of the league. I think they're leading by about, I think it's 22 points is the lead in front. The closest team behind them, I'm not sure it's either, I believe it's Leicester in second place. Correct me if I'm wrong, Mr.
I think it's Manchester City. They're still in second place.
In any case, there's a 22-point gap. The argument over the years has always been that the Premier League is the most competitive league in Europe. Everyone says it, yes, the Premier League greatest, the best league ever. Is it becoming a farmers' league? We will discuss that today because it's looking like that, Mr. Brown, you know. That is the mark of a farmers' league where the team that is leading is competing with themselves. That it's very concerning. It's very concerning. And I want to say this though. My take on this is not that it's a farmers' league. I would want to see that in terms of parity between the teams that are chasing behind Liverpool, there is more parity. The thing is, Liverpool has been a machine. I'll give them that. And I think it more comes down to coaching. I think as of right now, Jurgen Klopp is probably the best coach in the world. Because when I look at the Liverpool team itself, it's not that it's a group of outstanding star players. Yes, there are players that you would call, you'll hear Mane's name, you'll hear Salah's name. But it's not like they are scoring, I don't think even any of them has 15 goals as yet.
Not to cut you, but there's a difference between coach and manager.
Well,
and I think first of all we need.
Not so?
But first of all, we need to differentiate what coaches do and what managers do, because I must disagree with you as it relates to him being the best coach.
Well, you didn't let me finish, Mr. Brown. You got me off before. Because I'm giving you my take. You can disagree after. That's not a problem. But I have
all right, not a problem.
Yes,
Go ahead.
Why I would say he's the best coach in the world, because as I said, it's not a situation where he has out and out stars. You know, some teams are heavily reliant on their star player, which is what you would look at in, I could say, the Barcelona model for right now, where if Messi is not playing, Barcelona does not look the same. With Liverpool, it seems that no matter who comes into the side, yes, they are what you call mainstay, or the players you would say the backbone of the team. But no matter who comes in for whom, the team somehow seems to always get it done. And to me, that's a mark of not only good coaching or management, but the structure as well in the club as of right now is probably one of the best in the world. And I'll give Jurgen Klopp his props in that regard. Now over to you, Mr. Brown. What do you think about that? It's you that disagree, but you get to hear why.
I agree with you for most of the argument. However, as it relates to best coach, I must disagree. Because the coach teaches you the fundamentals of the game. I think Jurgen Klopp is currently the best manager, because he has average players playing way above the expectations of everyone. And that's down to good management. As it relates to coaching, we can see Pep Guardiola over at Manchester City, and the intricacies. Basically, he's teaching the players who are quote unquote stars already, and he is teaching them how to become even greater as it relates to the technical aspect of the sport. So that is what coaching, that is what differentiates coaching from management, because pick any of these Liverpool players, bar maybe one or two, Virgil van Dijk, we know he's technically sound. But if we should pick out maybe eight out of the starting 11 players and put them in a Barcelona team that is not being managed by Jurgen Klopp, and they'll be back to average. So at the end of the day, as I said, he has average players motivated and punching way above their weight, and that is down to management.
But can you separate the word coach from manager in football teams? And I'll tell you this. I'll make a simple example.
Yes, you can.
Well,
yes, you can.
The reason why I asked, they said
okay.
Ferguson was the best manager in the league. But we all know as well, he also used to coach the team. Not so? Right.
Yeah, so it's the same thing that Pep Guardiola is doing now.
When Alex Ferguson was in charge, I saw him win matches with players like Darren Gibson, Fabio da Silva, Rafael da Silva, who, as you said, were average players. Do you think that the same Pep Guardiola you are praising, do you think he can take some of these same average players that Liverpool has and do the same thing with them? I don't think so.
What I am saying once more, Darius. That wasn't even the topic of discussion tonight. But since we're on
but
it, why not?
Problem.
Yeah, why not? Why not?
But you could just ventilate this and then
but what I'm saying is, right, when you are saying Alex Ferguson took these players and won a league, fine, right? I give you that. But what happens to these players when they leave?
Exactly.
Right, because remember, Alex
which I agree with.
Right. Remember, Alex Ferguson also took Cristiano Ronaldo, a young Cristiano Ronaldo, and after he finished with him, we saw that same Cristiano Ronaldo go on to be the leading goal scorer for one of the biggest clubs in the world, Real Madrid, and he's still now doing it at 34, 35 years old. So, as I said before, as I said before, coaching, there are some that they both manage and they coach, but there are others who manage better than they coach, and that is the case with Jurgen Klopp, right? Because if I should take some players, I won't even say some, I can take 8 players from that Liverpool team and put them in a Pep Guardiola team, and they look like a fish out of water.
Well,
all right, so
but now at this point I would like your take, because I would have given my take on whether you think the Premier League is a farmers league, and I would have indicated that I think there is more parity between the teams that are chasing Liverpool, and I indicated the fact, and I always segued into the topic where I said Jurgen Klopp is probably the best coach because of what he's doing with this particular group of players. So now I want to hear, what do you think about the English Premier League, and do you think it's no longer the best league and it's now has become a farmers league, as some would say, in the European top football leagues?
All right, first let me start by saying Di Maria, he came out earlier this week and he said whenever PSG establishes a commendable league in the league, folks from around the world, they criticize the league. Now, we as fans as well, we criticize the Bundesliga, saying Bayern Munich runs away with it every year. 9 out of 10 years, Bayern Munich will win it. The same thing in the Serie A. We say Juventus, it's almost sure. In La Liga, it's a little bit different. Barcelona has been dominant for a few years, but regardless, it's competitive because it's Atletico Madrid always giving a good account for themselves. Real Madrid doing well for themselves more often than not. Even if they're not doing great in the domestic league, they're doing well in Europe, and it still reflects the league, right? Now, as it relates to Liverpool in the English Premier League, I think the standard of the league this year is atrocious, and it is also a result of VAR. I didn't even want to mention it as well, but
I can't say that.
Hold on. I think the standard of the league has dropped as a result of VAR as well. And the inconsistencies around VAR, as I mentioned in a previous episode, it has shed some negative light on the league, and a lot of persons were they were turned away from it before even Liverpool established this lead. Having said that, Liverpool has done well for themselves. They didn't bring in any new players in the summer. They've been fortunate enough to until lately. Exactly, up until lately they did not get any injuries. Sadio Mane, he got injured a few weeks ago. But separate and apart from that, the other teams they've gotten it every possible way wrong. Manchester City, their main centre back Laporte, he got a long-term injury. The players seem unmotivated, but I don't even know what to say about Manchester City, because they have totally underachieved. And I will go as far as saying this Liverpool team has still hasn't convinced me. They're a good team, don't get me wrong, and they're playing well in the system that the coach has them playing. But is this the best team that I've seen in the English Premier League for the past 10 years? No. Is this the best team that I've seen in the past 5 years? No. So I think the amount of points that they're leading by now is extremely flattering.
Wow, that's a hell of a take, and it's a hell of an accusation. Because I could tell you this, you mentioned VAR affecting this. Did it affect the quality of football, would you say? And you didn't answer that no, actually. Would you say it affected the quality of the football played in the league? Like, quality is different from...
Be specific though, because
the quality is the actual game play, the actual how the teams play the game, as in the brand of football teams are playing. Do you think VAR affected that? Because
no, it didn't. No, it didn't. But the England has never produced the best brand of football.
But technically, we look at Manchester City as the standard because Pep coaches his teams a certain way to play the ball a certain way, a certain brand, of course. The thing is, you mentioned VAR, but it seems like we're trying to say that VAR only benefits Liverpool. While there have been some decisions. No, I'm not saying you're trying to say that, but I'm saying your statements could imply that is where it's going.
Well, let me clear that up then. Before it goes any further, let me. I want to clear it up before you go.
I agree with you when you stated that the quality has been not atrocious, but I would say the football left much to be desired, especially from the quote-unquote heavy hitters. I watched quite a few of these Premier League games. In fact, I've watched the games that is not even the perennial big teams playing. And I looked at it and I said, a lot of these teams though are evenly matched. But is it that teams have improved, or is it that teams have gotten worse? And I would probably say that a lot of the bigger teams have gotten worse.
Have gotten worse.
Yes, because of injuries and not only
we don't, and we don't have a top four. We don't have a top four now.
We don't have a top four.
There isn't a top four.
The final analysis, so far, what I want to ask you, Farmers League or not? I think as of right now, as of this year, if I'm being honest, yes, it's a Farmers League right now. Next season, I know it wouldn't be like that, because we saw this previously when Manchester United came second. Remember, it had a big lead Manchester City had. And then the next year, Liverpool and Manchester City were neck and neck. That was last season. So, teams will strengthen, but as of right now, Premier League looking like a Farmers League. What's your take, Mr.
Controversially, Pep Guardiola came out and he said when they won the league by 19 points, the commissioner of the FA said it is not good for the league. So I'm waiting to hear what they'll be saying this year, because in fact the English League 2019-2020 season is indeed a Farmers League.
Now, moving on to the other topic we have on the schedule this evening. We saw a situation where Eric Abidal was interviewed by the Spain media. I'm not sure the name of the media house, but he made some statements regarding the Barcelona dressing room. Now, he is currently employed with Barcelona as a director of football. He's their director.
Yeah, he's a sporting director.
Yes. What happened is that he indicated that the players under Valverde, they had a communication issue and they weren't working hard enough. They weren't working hard. Basically, in short, he's blaming the players for Valverde getting sacked. Now, as a result of that, the Ballon d'Or winner, the 6th Ballon d'Or winner, Lionel Messi, came out and responded probably less than an hour after that report came out and indicated that when he's making statements like that, you have to call names because you are clearly calling me out and you're making me look a certain way. Well, I'm just paraphrasing it. So, Mr. Brown, I want to ask you, do you think Messi had a right to respond to that, or he should have just left Mr. Abidal to make his comments accordingly?
Well, let me explain it for the viewers who probably aren't sure what the sporting director does. The sporting director at these big clubs slash organizations, they're responsible for bringing in new talent. All right, so they basically are responsible for the operation of everything football-wise. So they ensure that they get good scouts to go out and recruit the best young talents around the world. Whenever there's a gap in the first team or in the second team or wherever, they're the ones responsible for getting players to come in to fill these gaps. All right. So that's what Eric Abidal does. Right. He was also a former teammate of Lionel. He was a former teammate of Lionel Messi because they played together at Barcelona. So they would have known each other as teammates before one became the quote-unquote boss of the other. All right. So back to your question now, Darius. If I think Lionel Messi was right, no, I don't think he was right to do that. In any organization, if you have an issue with your boss, if you have an issue with someone who is above you, you go into the office of that particular person and you have a discussion. All right. Having said that, I don't think Eric Abidal was right either. So neither of them were right.
But Eric Abidal was responding to questions in an interview. So is it that he responded in the wrong way?
No, but you don't dish out your dirty laundry like that, right? Because the manner in which he went about doing it, we could have seen that, okay, he didn't get any advice on how to respond to these questions. And you know how the media is.
Correct.
You think it's great that you're doing an interview with a particular media outlet, and then as soon as the article surfaces, they twist and they turn it however they wish. Our producer will put the full quote on the screen for viewers to see it. But what I got from that is basically Eric Abidal saying they're players slash a particular player that wasn't pleased with Valverde, and that's what resulted in Valverde getting sacked. Lionel Messi going on his Instagram to respond to that was really, really unprofessional. I think these sporting stars oftentimes they get carried away with the use of social media. Lionel Messi, he's not one to come out and say anything in matters like this. He's generally a bit more reserved. He doesn't say anything at all, as a matter of fact. But I was really surprised to see him when he came out and posted that on his Instagram. Go ahead.
That Eric Abidal is quote-unquote Messi's boss. But in the grand scheme of things in Barcelona, if we are being extremely honest here, the boss of Barcelona is actually Lionel Messi. Because as you know, as we all know, it's public knowledge now. A meeting was called in the club amongst the hierarchy. They called in Lionel Messi and Eric Abidal. And they had a meeting to trash out whatever it is there. Now, of course, we wouldn't be privy to what was said. Probably will come out after. But I believe at some point, very soon, Eric Abidal may be on the chopping block. They are not going to get rid of Lionel Messi. We know that.
Well, he won't be the first. He won't be the first.
So was it really that he said something against his boss, or is that he understands how much power he has and knows exactly how to use it, given his standing in the club and how he's seen as well? A god. He's seen as a god in Barcelona. And that brings me to my next point. Do you think these players have too much power?
Before we even get to that, Darius, it also highlights Bartholomew as well. Because if I'm running an organization and I put a particular individual in a position to oversee, and the person that he's overseeing is of a certain caliber slash say for instance expertise. Then I myself as the head of that organization, boundaries need to be drawn. So Bartholomew needed to have established the boundaries between the two. So we know that Lionel Messi is responsible for the dressing room. We know that Lionel Messi controls everything football when it comes to Barcelona. Eric Abidal, this is how it is. If you're doing an interview, you need or approval before you do an interview regarding to certain statements that you're going to make. All right, because when he makes that statement, he is basically dishing out something that is reflective of the club as an organization.
Reflective
so
of the attitude
basically,
of the players that Lionel Messi
right,
sees as the captain.
So what he is saying now would have been a reflection of everyone, because remember, Eric Abidal wasn't the one who was responsible for sacking
yes, but
Valverde.
He was the one responsible for recruitment.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is it's not a unanimous decision. Right? It's not a unanimous decision. But when he comes out and says that now, he's basically lamenting on what would have come across as a unanimous viewpoint, if you get what I'm saying. So he is the voice of the persons who got rid of the coach then, right? Because he's the person doing the interview.
But you would say so? He spoke from an opinionated point of view, as in he believes the players, and he said something was going on in the dressing room, almost alluding to the fact that he wasn't exactly sure, but he could feel it. He even used that language actually though.
Remember, Darius. At Barcelona, if a manager is to be sacked, they call up a meeting. The sporting director, whoever. So everyone goes into this meeting, and then the decision is made, right? So if Eric Abidal comes out, because if I am the only person who is corresponding with the media based on a meeting that I am just exiting, or I just came out of, or whatever time that I came out of, and I say something to the media will interpret it as, okay, that's a reflection of what transpired in the meeting, if you get what I'm saying, right? So based on the information that Eric Abidal provided to the journalists, that is what transpired in the meeting when the decision was made to sack Valverde.
It sounds like Abidal actually was batting for Valverde. It sounds like he is more in support of Valverde, and he probably did not want him to get fired. Hence, he would have made the statement that the players were really the ones. Well, he would actually imply it. He was implying that the players were to blame for Valverde getting sacked because they weren't doing what they were supposed to do. And the coach was probably doing everything he was supposed to do.
Adding to the point that I made earlier, it's far easier to replace these administrative positions than it is to replace world-class talents. So if you're in the box, then are locked in an office at the club's head office, as is the case with Eric Abidal, you're easily replaceable, right? If you're contributing 50 plus goals every season for the last 10 years, as is the case with Lionel Messi, it is gonna take some work to replicate talent like that.
Causes acrimony because it may have players that would have actually liked Valverde. We don't know, but I guess we could use the former coaches. But even if players like Valverde, what have these players contributed to Barcelona to warrant I agree with you. In comparison
an opinion then? In comparison to Lionel Messi,
it's easy for them to decide. Well, we'll just sell you and we'll keep Messi.
So you don't warrant an opinion if Lionel Messi is in the dressing room. Because you just came to Barcelona, for example, say for instance, a De Jong, then you just came to Barcelona, you haven't even won a title as yet, and you're sitting across the changing room from a young man who's won 6 Ballon d'Ors and scored north of 600 goals in his career for that particular club and contributed to countless trophies that's in the cabinet upstairs. So he has earned the right to the power that he currently has. And I think it's just unfortunate that Eric Abidal happens to be on the receiving end of
So the
Messi's wrath.
statement that no man is bigger than the club is a farce. I hear it with many clubs. But it seems that probably each club has somebody that they look to, and that person is actually bigger than the club while they are there. Until I guess things get sour and the person asks to leave, or the club finally deserves to put their foot down, decides to put their foot down and say, well, we have to move this person on because the situation is becoming either toxic or untenable, whether they fall out with the manager or any other issue that arises. So that statement in and of itself, I can't always believe it going forward.
All right. No man is bigger than the club unless that man's name is Lionel Messi. So
I don't agree with that.
In a nutshell, that's how it is now. Because if I should go across Europe's top club, I can't pick out a player. Not even Cristiano Ronaldo at Juventus, because he hasn't
Well, I guess you
earned
can't
that
pick a
status
player
as
that
yet.
you would deem indispensable by any club in particular. You wouldn't say Lewandowski is that in Germany, though? In Bayern?
No. Bayern Munich has always had incredible strikers.
Fair enough.
And throughout the years,
But you wouldn't deem him indispensable
they
as
go-
of right now?
No. And Lewandowski gives you goals, but he doesn't give you the personality and the lift that Lionel Messi gives you.
The presence.
Because
he doesn't have that
for
presence.
for Barcelona,
He is the club.
if Barcelona is trailing by 3-0 and Lionel Messi goes on the 87th minute, fans are hopeful. Right? Lewandowski doesn't do that with
You sure?
Bayern Munich.
I want to believe he does. Because I've seen games he came on. There was a game he didn't score 5 goals in 12 minutes or something. I was when Pep was coach, I believe. Fans were hopeful.
What I am
he
saying
brought
is,
hope.
Lewandowski scores a lot of goals, don't get me wrong, but if Bayern Munich are 3-0 down and it's 87 minutes and Lewandowski comes on, I am fully convinced that Barcelona's fans having Messi coming onto the pitch would be
That's where he was his whole life. He played with no other club. So he
exactly.
is the face
And
of
Barcelona fans
That's
would be right. Barcelona's fans would be more hopeful. Remember Lewandowski? He came from second-tier German league, and then he went to Borussia Dortmund, and then he made the trip across to Bayern Munich. So he traveled somewhat, and it seems as if he's gonna be in Bayern Munich for a while. But back to the Lionel Messi argument, I just don't see anyone pushing him to the side at Barcelona. He is the man. He's responsible for everything that happens at Barcelona. He decides who comes and he decides who goes. And if he's not satisfied with a coach, I can tell you that Barcelona are more willing to get a new coach / manager / football director / nurse / doctor / physio. Barcelona will be more willing to change the entire staff to please Lionel Messi.
I think in closing, though, there has to be some type of balance, because we use Messi as, I guess, the standard here, meaning that in terms of player power, and you said probably they have too much, yes, but in the same breath you said no. If we look at lesser tier players, we have seen situations where players that not exactly the face of the club, but they have held clubs to ransom. There was a situation, as they mentioned, with Paul Pogba, but that is, of course, the coach has been saying for a while that he wanted to build around Paul Pogba. So you would see where Paul Pogba mentioned he wanted a new challenge and thing, but the club was holding on. And the thing is, there has to be some type of balance. And I believe in the statement that no player is bigger than the club. If someone wants to leave, you should allow them to leave, and I'll tell you why. As much and as great as Lionel Messi is, the question you have to ask is, before Messi was born, was there Barcelona? Yes. Messi will eventually retire. Would there still be a Barcelona football club? Yes, there will be. And you must remember that. Because at the end of the day,
let me put another question in there. For the 15 years that Lionel Messi has been playing for Barcelona, would they have been where they are now had it not been for Lionel Messi? So would there be a Barcelona before and after? Yes, there would be. But
the question is, would they be as great? I guess that's the question you're going on. Would they still be as great?
Right. So would
probably
right.
not.
So exactly my point. So whereas both your questions are valid, we need to insert that clause into the middle as well. Would Barcelona have been where they are now had it not been for Lionel Messi?
Where situations are becoming, and it seems like every year Messi gets a new contract. Every year it seems like he holds the club to ransom. Not literally, because it seems like the fans don't mind, but I want to believe, this is obviously speculation on our part, that the board will eventually start to get tired. So every year we have to give you a new contract. Why is it you're holding us to ransom like this? I think obviously Messi's contract is not about $500,000 a week or something he gets. How much money do you really need?
Up until they find a suitable replacement.
It's 500,000, yes, it's 500,000.
Up until the board finds a suitable replacement for Lionel Messi, it will be the same old story. But I will reiterate my point in my closing statement. Liverpool still not as good as the table suggests. Consistency, hands-on, the best in the English Premier League. The English Premier League has become a farmers' league. And over to Spain, no player is bigger than the club unless that player is Lionel, the GOAT, Messi.
I will say in closing, your first take, I agree with it. The Premier League as of this season for this season they are farmers' league. We don't know what would happen going forward. I would want to believe that will change. As of right now, I will give Jurgen Klopp, he's the best coach, probably I'll say in Europe. Right now, coach slash manager, I am giving him that trophy. And as a Manchester United fan, you could understand how, not difficult, but the rivalry between the fans and those two clubs. But I can be honest and objective here, he's the best. Regarding Lionel Messi, no player is bigger than the club, and that includes Lionel Messi. That is my take. I want to thank you guys for tuning in to Halftime, the most honest, objective, entertaining, and scintillating sports commentary you could get anyway. This is Mr. Burris and my co-host, Mr. Norando Brown, signing out. Don't forget
until
to like,
next time.
Share, subscribe, and comment. Until next time.
All right.